Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Hungry Wilderness. Understanding the heavenly adventure and deducting the mythical dharma of the Great Luo Zhang Tianchen traveled through the vast world and became a descendant of the human race, learning from the leader of the Tongtian Sect. Relying on one's own rebellious understanding to improve one's cultivation techniques. The ordinary peak of the Golden Immortal, with cultivation of 5 elemental guilds, Mythical Golden Immortal, with a cultivation level of 50,000 yuan. The ordinary Luo Jin Xian is at risk of falling at any time during the measurement calamity, Mythical Daluo, jumping out of the river of destiny, eternal freedom. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 001. Understanding Against Heaven, Mythical Dharma of Dalai Lama. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Honghuang, Kunlun Mountain. Kunlun Mountain is the ancestor of all mountains, winding in the eastern part of the wasteland. I don't know its breadth or height, and the mountains are shrouded in clouds and mist, with cranes soaring in the mountains. It is truly a divine cave. 1,000 years ago, Sanqing became a saint and set up a large formation at the foot of the mountain to recruit disciples. Laozi Taiching was quiet and inactive, only accepting Xuandu as his personal disciple. At the beginning of Yuqing's reign, he focused on his roots and recruited 12 disciples, including Guangchengzi and Chizizi, as his personal disciples. He also appointed Randang Daoist, who was also listening to the teachings in the Zixiao Palace, as the deputy leader of the Chan sect. There is no discrimination in the teachings of the Upper Qin dynasty. As long as the heart of seeking the Tao is firm, he will not refuse anyone who comes. However, the only disciples he has personally passed down are Duobao Taoist, Jinling Holy Mother, Wudang Holy Mother, and Guiling Holy Mother. The rest are named disciples. In the Kunlun Mountains. The leader of the Tongtian sect sits high on the cloud platform, with tens of thousands of disciples of the Jiejiao sect sitting around, listening to his preaching. The sage's preaching is extraordinary, with the aura of the Tao appearing around him. Golden flowers descend from the sky, golden lotus surges from the earth, dragons and phoenixes bring good luck, and all beasts sing together. The scene of heaven and earth singing is not deliberately created by the heavens, but is celebrated by the heavenly way. It is the responsibility of the sage to establish a religion and become a saint through the heavens. This is his first preaching after becoming a saint, and the heavenly way cheers him and adds to the dignity of the sage. Among the disciples sitting on the periphery, there was a person named Zhang Tianchen who was listening attentively. Zhang Tianchen is an acquired human race who has traveled to the world of floods and wastelands for over a decade. At the beginning of his journey, he was very afraid in his heart. You should know that in the vast world, golden immortals roam everywhere, and Tai is as numerous as a dog, so that the Luo can tremble. He is a mortal who is not even a fairy, and there is no guarantee of his safety. Maybe one day he will be slapped to death by someone else. But fortunately, he received a gift from Mother Earth. An extraordinary understanding. Upon hearing that Sanqing had widely recruited disciples, he traveled all the way to the foot of Kunlun Mountain and passed through the heart quest array set up by the leader of the Tongtian sect, becoming an external disciple of the Jiejiao sect. This preaching by Tongtian is about the most fundamental method of cultivation. Starting from the 4 realms of transformation, it is important to practice refining and transforming qi, cultivating and transforming the spirit, cultivating the spirit to return to emptiness, and practicing the combination of emptiness and Tao. After practicing the void harmony Tao, one who has overcome the heavenly calamity becomes a heavenly immortal. Next are true immortal, Xianxia, Jingxian, Tai Jingxian, Daluo Jingxian, and Zhunshan, Hunyuan Jingxian. Practice has no time, and 300 years have passed in a blink of an eye. The first sermon of Master Tongtian has come to an end. Zhang Tianchen woke up from a state of infatuation, feeling somewhat unsatisfied. This sermon ends here, and the next sermon will be in 1,000 years' time. After Master Tongtian finished speaking, the person had already disappeared on the cloud platform. Farewell to the teacher. After the leader of the Tongtian sect left, the disciples who intercepted the teachings stood up together and bowed to the leader. Then, they each opened caves in the Kunlun mountains, practiced in seclusion, and digested the gains from listening to the teachings. Zhang Tianchen also found a secluded place and built a wooden house. With his extraordinary insight, Zhang Tianchen understood all the teachings taught by the heavenly master this time and even discovered many flaws in them. For example, if one transcends the four realms of the mortal realm and cultivates to the peak of practicing the void harmony Tao realm, they will have 1,000 years of cultivation. But Zhang Tianchen believes that this peak is not the true peak, and there is still enormous potential for the four realms of the fallen world that has not been fully tapped. So he used his incredible insight to gradually improve the flaws in it. 100 years later, he has finally perfected all the flaws in the four realms cultivation method. Following the improved four realms cultivation method, cultivating to the peak of the practice void harmony Tao realm will result in a cultivation of 5,000 years. Ordinary cultivation methods. Transformation. 0.1000 years of cultivation. Heavenly Immortal. 1,000 to 5,000 years of cultivation. True Immortal. 5,000 to 50,000 years of cultivation. Xianxia. 50,000 years. 5 yuan cultivation level. Jin Xian. 5 yuan meeting. 50 yuan meeting cultivation. Tai. 50 yuan meeting. 500 yuan meeting cultivation. Daluo. 500 yuan meeting. 5000 yuan meeting cultivation. Zhoushan. 5,000 yuan guild. 5000 yuan guild cultivation. Note: 1 yuan will be equivalent to 129,600 years, and 50,000 yuan will be equivalent to 1 amount of calamity. Having 1 amount of calamity cultivation can lead to the cultivation of Dao Han Yuan. In order to distinguish himself from ordinary cultivation methods, Zhang Tianchen gave the improved cultivation method a new name, the Mythical Great Luo method. According to the mythological Dharma of the Great Luo, the cultivation of the Abhidharma chapter, reaching the peak of the cultivation of the void harmony Tao realm, one has 5,000 years of cultivation, equivalent to an ordinary cultivator at the peak of the heavenly immortal realm. In the blink of an eye, another 500 years have passed. Dark clouds gather in the sky, and thunder and lightning gather in the clouds, making a crackling sound. Below the thunderous clouds, after 500 years of cultivation, Zhang Tianchen has reached the peak of practicing the void combining Tao and is currently taking the final step towards becoming an immortal. Transforming into an immortal is an incredible move that requires overcoming thunder and tribulations in order to shed one's mortal body and achieve immortality. Thunderstorm can be divided into 19 thunderstorm, 39 thunderstorm, 69 thunderstorm, and 99 thunderstorm. The thunder tribulation that transforms into immortality is usually 19 thunder tribulations, and in rare cases, it will lead to 39 thunder tribulations. As for the 69 thunder tribulations and 99 thunder tribulations, they have never appeared during the transformation into immortality. Most creatures in the wilderness are immortals from birth, and they do not need to go through the step of transforming into immortals. However, this does not mean that they do not need to go through a thunderstorm. When these creatures were born, they were not innate Tao bodies. If they want to cultivate Taoism, they must transform, and when they transform, there will be transformation thunder calamity. The lowest level of transformation thunder calamity is 39 thunder calamity, and some with deep roots may also experience 99 thunder calamity. With a loud bang, a lightning bolt cut through the sky and struck down. Zhang Tianchen did not panic at all and used his magic to resist. The lightning did not break through the magic barrier created by Zhang Tianchen. Immediately after, the second lightning bolt struck again, failing to break through the magic barrier created by Zhang Tianchen. The third way, the fourth path, 9 lightning strikes in a row, each one more powerful than the other, but they were easily blocked by Zhang Tianchen. Just as Zhang Tianchen thought the thunderclouds were about to disperse, a new wave of lightning began to gather. It seems to be the 3-9 thunder robbery. Zhang Tianchen's calm expression slightly changed. Compared to the 19 lightning strikes, the number of lightning strikes has not only increased, but the power of lightning strikes is also gradually increasing. Boom! Soon, a new wave of lightning arrived. Zhang Tianchen used his magic to resist, and now he is clearly struggling compared to his previous effortless freehand brushwork. When the 18th lightning struck, the magic barrier created by Zhang Tianchen shattered directly. The afterglow of lightning struck him, making his whole body pitch black and his hair stand on end. Fortunately, most of the power of lightning was blocked by the magic barrier, and although he looked very miserable, he did not suffer much damage. The third wave of lightning did not last long from the second wave of lightning. Zhang Tianchen could only rely on luck and magic to resist again, and he had no better means. The 19th path, the 20th path, when the 27th lightning struck Zhang Tianchen, his whole body was burnt black, and he could vaguely smell a scent of meat. At this moment, a rainbow glow passed through the clouds and shone on Zhang Tianchen. The injury on Zhang Tianchen's body quickly healed, and his burnt black skin peeled off, revealing smooth skin. However, after a while, Zhang Tianchen fully recovered and his mana became more solid. Chapter 002. The 36 Great Divine Powers of Heavenly Gang and Earthly Sha. You are listening at novelfull.audio. They all suffer losses without magic weapons. Zhang Tianchen took out his new clothes and put them on, murmuring softly. He cultivates the mythical Great Luo Dharma. Although he only practices the peak of the Void Harmony Dao realm, his cultivation level is comparable to the peak of an ordinary heavenly immortal. The main reason why he made himself so miserable after going through a 39 thunder disaster is that he didn't have any magic weapons. If there is a defensive magic weapon, even a lower-grade spiritual treasure, he can survive the 3-9 thunderstorms unscathed. Magic treasures are divided into acquired spiritual treasures and innate spiritual treasures. According to the number of prohibitions, it is further divided into lower-grade Lingbao, medium-grade Lingbao, upper-grade Lingbao, top-grade Lingbao, and Jibao. Having 1 to 12 prohibitions is considered a lower-level spiritual treasure, having 13 to 24 prohibitions is considered a medium-level spiritual treasure, having 25 to 36 prohibitions is considered a top-level spiritual treasure, having 37 to 48 prohibitions is considered an ultimate spiritual treasure, and having 49 prohibitions is considered a supreme treasure. Generally speaking, the power of innate spiritual treasures is stronger than that of acquired spiritual treasures of the same grade, and innate spiritual treasures have the functions of suppressing qi circulation and self-repair. Although somewhat embarrassed, I finally succeeded in crossing the tribulation, transforming my body from a mortal body to an immortal body, and officially stepping into the realm of immortality. There are still 400 years left until the second sermon, which should be enough for me to deduce the mythological Dharma. The Heavenly Immortal Chapter. Zhang Tianchen returned to his small cabin and began to improve the cultivation method of the Heavenly Immortal realm. 300 years later. The mythological Dharma of the Great Luo Heavenly Immortal Chapter was deduced by Zhang Tianchen. According to the method he deduced, if one cultivates to the peak of the Heavenly Immortal realm, they will have a cultivation level of the 5 Yuan society, comparable to the peak of an ordinary Xianxia. Zhang Tianchen was awakened by a burst of drums, which were the sound of fishing drums used by the leader of the Tongtian Sect to summon disciples to intercept the teachings. It's time for the second sermon. Zhang Tianchen left the cabin and arrived at the place where he preached to the heavens. When the intercepting disciples arrived, the leader of the Tongtian Sect suddenly appeared on the cloud platform. I've met the teacher. Zhang Tianchen, along with other disciples who intercepted the teachings, luggage to the leader of Tongtian Sect. The leader of the Tongtian sect waved his hand slightly and then began preaching. It's a bit different from the first sermon, except for the manifestation of the Tao rhyme around the body. The scene of heaven and earth singing together has not appeared. However, every word spoken by the leader of the Tongtian sect gives a deafening feeling. This time, the leader of the Tongtian sect is not talking about cultivation methods, but about divine powers and spells, including the 36 major divine powers of the Heavenly Gang and the 72 minor divine powers of the Earth Sha. Zhang Tianchen still listened with ecstasy. The gate of all wonders is both mysterious and mysterious. Zhang Tianchen was completely immersed in the road, and the feeling was very mysterious, unable to speak. Time flows like water, slipping away unconsciously. In the blink of an eye, 300 years have passed. The leader of the Tongtian sect stopped preaching, and Zhang Tianchen woke up from that mysterious state with some regret, as if approaching orgasm, and suddenly stopped. No matter how powerful the divine power is, it's just a skill. Cultivation is the foundation. Don't put the cart before the horse. Tongtian's gaze swept over everyone. Remember, disciples. Everyone answered in unison, but as for how many people remember the words of the heavens, no one knows. This sermon ends here, and the next sermon will be in 1,000 years' time. After Master Tongtian finished speaking, his figure disappeared on the cloud platform. The consecrated immortals each returned to the cave to practice, and Zhang Tianchen was no exception. Zhang Tianchen has already memorized all the magical powers and spells taught by Master Tongtian. The 36 divine powers of Tian Gang include mediating and transforming, reversing yin and yang, shifting stars and stars, returning to the sky and the sun, summoning wind and rain, shaking mountains and earth, soaring clouds and mist, crossing rivers and land, creating golden light on the land, stirring rivers and seas, pointing to the land and becoming steel, the 5 elements great escape, the 6 armored strange gates, understanding the future in reverse, whipping mountains and stones, reviving death and rebirth, flying to support traces, and 9 breaths to subdue qi, export yuan yang, subdue dragons and tigers, nourish the sky and bathe in the sun, push mountains and fill the sea, turn stones into gold, stand upright without a shadow, transform the fetus into a new shape, achieve good size, bloom in an instant, possess the spirit of wandering, see through the wall and cave, return to the wind and fire, master the 5 thunder, retreat into the abyss and reduce the earth, fly sand and rocks, cross mountains and seas. Scatter beans into soldiers, and nail the head with 7 arrows. Each divine power has immense power, but it is also difficult to practice. Even the leader of the Tongtian sect has not mastered all 36 of these powers. Zhang Tianchen plans to learn 3 of them first, and wait until he has time to discuss the others later. In terms of attack power, the strongest one is definitely mastering the 5 thunderbolts. The 5 thunders, named 5 thunders, are actually the 5 qi. The 5 thunders belong to the 5 organs. The energy of the 5 organs gathers and converges into one, in order to reach the great Tao and master the wonderful use of the 5 thunders. In terms of speed, the fastest is definitely the golden light on the vertical ground. Transforming into a golden light, one can travel thousands of miles per day. In terms of defense, the strongest is undoubtedly standing upright without a shadow. Entering a virtual state is invisible and can render all attacks ineffective. Although the 70.2 minor divine powers of the Earth Sha are far inferior in power to the 30.6 major divine powers of the Heavenly Gang, they also have their merits. The most important thing is that it is relatively easy to cultivate the 70.2 small divine powers of Di Sha. Zhang Tianchen selected 5 practical ones from them. Swordsmanship. Understanding the mystery of the integration of sword and qi is the method of the primordial god to wield the sword, where white light rises and kills invisibly. Slaying demons. Can be enchanted with spells on weapons, can ward off ghosts and demons, and eliminate formless monsters. Avatar. It can differentiate multiple avatars, as well as other things, and can even differentiate into billions at a higher level. Hatian. It can open up space or caves, attract talents in mustard seeds, and even embrace the vastness of heaven and earth. Immobilization. Fixing the body and soul of a person, even divine birds, beasts, or all objects, so that they cannot move. 1,000 years later, Zhang Tianchen has achieved some success in cultivating his divine powers. Before traveling, Zhang Tianchen was a novel enthusiast who would read novels whenever he had time. The protagonists in novels have their own attribute panels. Although Zhang Tianchen did not have a system, he also followed suit and created a list of attributes for himself. Name: Zhang Tianchen Roots. The acquired human race cultivation. 7,000 years realm. Early stage of mythological immortals' divine powers. Mastering the five thunders, Xiaocheng, vertical golden light, Xiaocheng, standing shadowless, Xiaocheng, swordsmanship, Desheng, Hutian, Desheng, clone, perfect, fixed body, perfect, and slaying demons, perfect. The mastery level of divine powers can be divided into 4 levels. Beginner level, minor achievement, major achievement, and perfection. In just 1,000 years, Zhang Tianchen completed the cultivation of his 3 small divine powers. Fixed body, split body, and demon slaying. He also mastered the 2 small divine powers of swordsmanship and Katian, and mastered the 3 great divine powers of 5 thunders, vertical earth golden light and standing shadowless. This shows how incredible his intelligence is. However, it is not easy to further master these supernatural powers, whether it is swordsmanship and padi, or mastering the 5 thunders, vertical golden light and standing shadowless. To further one's mastery, one needs to understand the corresponding laws. With Zhang Tianchen's insight, it is not impossible to comprehend the rules in the realm of mythological immortals, but it is unnecessary. Going to comprehend the rules now is really time-consuming and results in half the effort. It's better to improve your cultivation first, and then go and comprehend the rules when your cultivation is up. This is more cost-effective. Chapter 003. Mixed Element Formation, Tongtian Fenbao. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The sound of the fishing drum rang out again. Zhang Tianchen stopped practicing and went to listen to the Tongtian preaching. Just like last time, when the disciples of the Jijiao sect arrived, the figure of the leader of the Tongtian sect suddenly appeared on the cloud platform. I have met the teacher. After the disciples bowed, the head of the Tongtian sect began preaching. This time, the leader of the Tongtian sect is talking about the formation path. In the Sanqing period, Laozi was skilled in alchemy, Yuanxia was skilled in refining weapons, and Tongtian was skilled in formations. Starting from the most fundamental basic formation, Tongtian went from shallow to deep, and then talked about the 10-Ju formation and 9-Chu Yellow River formation that shone brilliantly in the Fengshan romance. Finally, it talked about the Hunyuan level formation, the Immortal Sword formation, and the 10,000 Immortals formation. In the wilderness, there are many formations, but there are only 4 at the mixed element level, including the Heavenly God Sha formation, the Heavenly Star Do formation, the 10,000 Immortals formation, and the Zhu Xian formation. The Duqian Xianxia formation is a great formation for protecting the Wu ethnic group. It is set up by the 12 ancestors of Wu and can summon the phantom shadow of Pangu, which is invincible to non-saints. The Zhou Tian Star Do formation is a Yao clan guardian formation, consisting of 365 Yao clan the Luo Jin Xian main formations, with Chaos Bell as the eye of the formation. It can use the power of the Zhou Tian Star Do, and its power is not inferior to that of the Du Tian Xianxia formation. The 10,000 Immortals formation was originally owned by the East Prince, and if it were set up by 10,000 Great Luo Golden Immortals, it could rival the Saints. Later, the Purple Mansion was destroyed by the Demon Clan, and the East Prince's body fell. The 10,000 Immortals formation map fell into the hands of the Tongtian sect leader. The Zhoushan formation is the most famous among the four mixed element level formations. If it is arranged by a sage, it is said that it cannot be broken unless it is the four saints. Originally, it belonged to Luo Yan. Later, Hong Jun defeated Luo Yan, and the Zhoushan four swords and the Zhoushan sword diagram also fell into Hong Jun's hands. When dividing the treasures in the Xiao Palace, Hong Jun gave the Zhoushan four swords and the Zhoushan sword diagram to the master of the Tongtian Sect. 300 years later. The third sermon of Tongtian ends. The three sermons come to an end. When I heard the teachings in the Xiao Palace, the Taoist ancestor bestowed upon me many treasures, but it was useless for me to keep them. Today, I will bestow them upon you. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone in the lecture was very excited. A cultivator in the wilderness, no one does not want to possess a powerful treasure. But the number of innate spiritual treasures is limited, and they can be encountered but not sought. Most people do not have the ability to refine a powerful acquired spiritual treasure on their own. Zhang Tianchen also had some expectations in his heart, but he knew that there were many monks and porridge was few, so he might not have his share. Even if he was lucky enough to get one, it might not be what he wanted. Duo Bao, as your senior brother, I am giving you this innate top-grade spiritual treasure, the Golden Xiaoguan. With a wave of his sleeve, a golden crown flew in front of Duo Bao. Thank you very much, Master. Duo Bao reached out his hands to catch it and respectfully bowed. Duo Bao Taoist was a disciple received by the leader of the Tongtian sect before becoming a saint. He had been bestowed with many treasures before, but this time the leader of the Tongtian sect only gave him a symbolic golden crown. Jin Ling, these dragon, tiger, Jade, Rui, and four symbols pagoda are both innate top-grade spiritual treasures, bestowed upon you for self-defense. With a wave of his sleeve, a Jade Rui in a tower flew to the front of the Golden Spirit Holy Mother. Thank you very much, Master. The face of the Holy Mother of the Golden Spirit showed excitement, and she put away these two treasures. She was not as wealthy as Taoist Duo Bao, and the dragon, tiger, Jade, Rui, and four symbols pagoda were very precious to her. Wu Dang. Turtle Spirit. Dark Clouds. Golden Hoop. The leader of the Tongtian sect took out a magic weapon and gave it to the two main disciples, Wudang and Guiling, as well as the 7 accompanying immortals, including Wuyan Immortal. The intercepting disciples can be divided into 3 levels. The first tier is naturally composed of 4 personally transmitted disciples. Duo Bao Taoist, Jinling Holy Mother, Wudang Holy Mother, and Guiling Holy Mother. The second tier is accompanied by the 7 immortals, including the Dark Cloud Immortal, Golden Hoop Immortal, Feilu Immortal, Qiu Shou Immortal, Golden Light Immortal, Lingya Immortal, and Dingguang Immortal. Although they do not have the title of disciples, they can follow the leader of the Tongtian sect and listen to the teachings. The third tier consists of Zhao Gongming, Lvu, Luo Xian, San Shao, and numerous disciples from outside, including Zhang Tianchen. Zhao Gongming, among the disciples of the outer sect, your cultivation is the highest. From now on, you will be the eldest senior brother of the outer sect, and I will give you the dragon rope and 20.4 Ding Hai pearls. I hope you will continue to cultivate well in the future and not fall into the reputation of my teaching. With a wave of his sleeve, 20.4 beads and a rope flew towards Zhao Gongming. Thank you very much, teacher. Zhao Gongming excitedly put away Ding Haizhu and Tai Longsuo. He was a named disciple and could not refer to his master like Taoist Duo Bao did. He could only refer to his teacher. Yun Xiao, Bi Xiao, Qiong Xiao, I am giving you the 3 Hunyuan Golden Dough and Golden Jiaojin. With a wave of his sleeve, a golden bucket and a pair of scissors flew in front of Yun Xiao, Bi Xiao, and Qiong Xiao. Thank you very much, teacher. Yun Xiao and Bi Xiao reached out to take the Hunyuan Golden Dough and Golden Jiaojian, and then joined forces with Qiong Xiao to salute the leader of the Tongtian sect. Lvu. Luo Xian. The leader of the Tongtian sect presented treasures to the outer disciples one by one, and everyone hoped that the next one could call their names. Zhang Tianchen. Zhang Tianchen originally had no hope, but suddenly heard Dao Tongtian call his name, his eyes lit up, and he took a step forward and said, "I'm here." This Xiantian Renshui peach is one of the 30.6 peaches produced by the Xiantian peach tree for the first time since the beginning of heaven. Today, it is bestowed upon you, and I hope you will have a good life and practice in the future. The head of the Tongtian sect flipped his palm and a peach appeared in his hand. Then, the peach transformed into a stream of light and flew towards Zhang Tianchen. "Thank you very much, teacher." Zhang Tianchen happily accepted the peach and bowed to the leader of the Tongtian sect. The innate spiritual root, the fruit produced for the first time, contains innate Dao rhyme, and its efficacy is far beyond that of the fruit produced in the future. The value of this innate Ren water peach is no less than that of a mid-grade spiritual treasure. The leader of the Tongtian sect will give him such a treasure, which is somewhat beyond his expectations. Zhang Tianchen speculated that some of his experiences in crossing the 39 heavenly calamities or practicing divine powers were noticed by the leader of the Tongtian sect, which attracted the leader's attention. After the treasure distribution ends. I have made an agreement with my two brothers that after the 1 yuan meeting, our disciples will have a big competition to test your cultivation achievements. I hope you will practice well and not lose the face of being a disciple. After Tong Tian finished speaking, he disappeared above the cloud platform. Zhang Tianchen returned to his small wooden cabin, ate the peaches bestowed upon him by Tong Tian, and then began to refine them. 100 years later. The energy contained in the peaches was fully refined by Zhang Tianchen, and his cultivation level was completely elevated by one level, from the early stage of mythological immortals to the middle stage of mythological immortals. The wealth of the couple in France is truly indispensable. Zhang Tianchen sighed and said that a single peach helped him improve his cultivation level by 1 yuan, saving him at least tens of thousands of years of hard work, demonstrating the importance of wealth for practitioners. Law, Zhang Tianchen is not lacking. Although Kunlun Mountain is a top-notch paradise, it cannot carry the fortune of the three saints. In addition, the teachings of the Yuanshi Heavenly Lord and the Tongtian sect leader conflict, and the separation of the three is inevitable. Kunlun Mountain can only be temporarily inhabited, and in the future, it will definitely have to move. Both the couple and the disciples of Jiejiao can be called Zhang Tianchen's Taoist friends. Zhang Tianchen has no physical possessions, which is what he currently needs the most. When your cultivation level is further improved and your safety is guaranteed, you must travel to the wilderness and search for some genius treasures. Chapter 004. Infinite Sword Formation, Second Generation Peach Panning. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After refining the energy of the peach, Zhang Tianchen glanced at the peach core that he had casually planted, which had now grown into a peach tree over 10 meters high. However, this second-generation peach tree is still a seedling, and it will take a long time for it to bloom and bear fruit. Zhang Tianchen withdrew his gaze and began to comprehend the formation taught by the leader of the Tongtian sect. In the chaotic world, there are two main ways to challenge oneself in reverse order. One is to use magic weapons, and the other is to use formations. The quantity of magic treasures is rare, they can be encountered but not sought. Although the power of the formation is great, its drawbacks are also very obvious. Firstly, it is impossible to move freely as desired. If the enemy does not enter the formation will not be effective at all. Secondly, formation takes time, and there is simply no time to arrange during combat. Thirdly, most formations require the joint deployment of multiple people. There are also formations that can perfectly overcome these three shortcomings, and the Zhoushan formation is the best example. The Zhoushan formation only requires one person to set up, as long as the Zhoushan for swords and the Zhoushan formation diagram are in hand, the formation can be set up anytime and anywhere, and the formation time is very short. However, the Zhu Xian formation also has its drawbacks, which is that it relies too much on the power of magic weapons, and requires the Zhu Xian for swords and the Zhu Xian formation diagram to deploy the formation, making it impossible to replicate. Zhang Tianchen wants to create a formation that perfectly overcomes these flaws. 1,000 years have passed in the blink of an eye, with no time left. Zhang Tianchen combined swordsmanship to create a formation called the Infinite Sword Formation. The meaning of immeasurable is unlimited, there is no limit, it is difficult to calculate, and the index quantity is extremely large. A quantity of 50,000 yuan will be spent for 6.48 billion years. One immeasurable calamity is 480 million. Zhang Tianchen named this formation the Infinite Sword Formation because its power has no limit and is infinite. However, although the power of the Infinite Sword Formation is infinite, it is extremely difficult to unleash it, and the specific power depends on the strength of the arranger. With Zhang Tianchen's current strength, using the Infinite Sword Formation can only deal with ordinary golden immortals. The most important thing now is to improve one's cultivation. Divine powers and formations are only techniques, and cultivation is the foundation. It is necessary to have advanced cultivation in order to unleash the power of divine powers and formations. Zhang Tianchen glanced again at the second-generation peach tree outside the wooden house. If there are genius treasures to help, improving cultivation will be much faster. However, today's peach trees have just begun to bloom, and there is still a long time before the peaches mature. Zhang Tianchen was practicing while waiting for the peaches to ripen. 1,000 years later, Wuguduo grew up. 2,000 years later, the flowers and bones will bloom. 3,000 years later, peach blossoms will bloom. 4,000 years later, peach blossoms wither and bear peaches. 5,000 years later, peaches slowly grow up. 6,000 years later, peaches will grow to their extreme. 7,000 years later, peaches begin to ripen, turning from green to red. 8,000 years later, peaches will be green with a hint of red. 9,000 years later, peaches will ripen. Blooming every 3,000 years, fruiting every 3,000 years, maturing every 3,000 years, and bearing 30.6 peaches, this second-generation peach tree is comparable to the purple-patterned core peaches in the peach orchard. The Xiantian Renshui peach tree is still in the hands of Hongjun. After Haotian and Yao Qi become the masters of the heavenly court, Hongjun will bestow the Xiantian Renshui peach tree on Yao Qi. Yao Qi transformed the Xiantian Renshui peach tree into 3,600 peach trees. The first 1,200 plants, with small flowers and fruits, mature every 3,000 years. There are 1,200 plants in the middle, with layers of sweet and fruity flowers that mature every 6,000 years. There are 1,200 plants in the back, with purple patterned cores, ripe every 9,000 years. In Zhang Tianchen's view, such behavior by Yao Qi is simply a waste. The Xiantian Renshui peach tree has transformed into 3,600 peach trees. Although the number has increased, the effect is greatly reduced, and it has no effect on people with slightly higher cultivation. If a large number of peaches are really needed, wait for the Xiantian Renshui peaches to mature and plant the peach stones, without sacrificing the Xiantian Renshui peach tree at all. Zhang Tianchen picked a second-generation flat peach, took a few bites, and then began to refine it. 10 years later, the energy of Pan Tao was completely refined by Zhang Tianchen, and his cultivation increased by 1,000 years. The effect of the second-generation peaches is much worse than that of the first-generation peaches. Zhang Tianchen was slightly disappointed at the effect of the second-generation peaches did not meet his expectations. However small the mosquito is, it is still flesh. Compared to him directly practicing in seclusion, taking second-generation peaches can improve his cultivation speed much faster. Zhang Tianchen took off another second-generation peach robe. This one has elevated his cultivation by 980 years. Will the effect continue to decrease? Zhang Tianchen took off his third second-generation peach robe and increased his cultivation by 950 years. Verified the fact that the effect of the second-generation peaches would decrease, Zhang Tianchen was even more disappointed. But speaking of disgust, the speed of eating is not slow. 300 years later, Zhang Tianchen refined all 30.6 second-generation peaches on the second-generation peach tree, increasing his cultivation by a total of 12,000 years. Nowadays, the second generation of Pantao has no effect on him, and it is not much faster than his direct cultivation. The second-generation peach tree outside the wooden house has now turned into a peach forest. Zhang Tianchen planted the peach stones of the second generation of flat peaches and cultivated the third generation of flat peach trees. The second-generation peaches have no effect on Zhang Tianchen, and the third-generation peaches have even less effect. The reason why Zhang Tianchen cultivated these three generations of peach trees is not for the three generations of peach trees, but for the three generations of peach trees themselves. The Xiantian Renshui Pantao tree is one of the top 10 spiritual roots of Xiantian. Although the second-generation and third-generation Pantao trees are far inferior to the Xiantian Renshui Pantao tree, they are also good materials for refining. Without the assistance of genius treasures for cultivation, Zhang Tianchen could only rely on his own hard work. In the blink of an eye, 30,000 years have passed. 30,000 years of hard work have greatly improved Zhang Tianchen's strength. Name: Zhang Tianchen Roots. The acquired human race cultivation. 6 Yuan meeting realm. Early stage of mythological immortality divine powers. Master the 5 thunders, Xiaocheng, vertical earth golden light, Xiaocheng, standing shadowless, Xiaocheng, 5 elements great escape, Xiaocheng, embryo transformation, Deshang, swordsmanship, Deshang, Hutian, Deshang, avatar, perfection, fixed body, perfection, slaying demons, perfection, invisible, perfection, formation. Infinite sword formation. Zhang Tianchen's cultivation level has been elevated to the 6 Yuan society, breaking through from the mythical heavenly fairy realm to the mythical true fairy realm. The mythical Great Luo method. True immortal chapter has also been deduced by Zhang Tianchen. If one cultivates to the peak of mythical true immortal, they will have a cultivation of 500 yuan, comparable to the peak of ordinary Mythical Golden Immortal. Over the past 30,000 years, in addition to improving his cultivation, Zhang Tianchen has learned 2 major divine powers and 1 minor divine power. The Great Escape of the 5 Elements. It not only records the 5 Elements Immortal technique, but also includes the 5 Elements Escape technique, containing the wonderful way of generating and overcoming changes in the 5 elements. Fetal transformation and transformation. Either male or female, old or young, divine bird or exotic beast, capable of freely changing all things in heaven and earth. Invisibility. This allows oneself, others, and even all objects to conceal their body shape and mask their breath. Zhang Tianchen now has a cultivation level of the 6 Yuan society, comparable to the early stage of an ordinary golden immortal. He has a certain degree of self-protection ability and can go on a journey. The 3 newly learned supernatural powers are very useful for saving lives when traveling abroad. Chapter 005. Unable to climb Zhoushan, Innate Banana Tree. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhang Tianchen did not disturb anyone and left Kunlun Mountain alone. As for asking Master Tongtian for advice. Don't make me cough. The leader of the Tongtian sect is not someone that external disciples like them can see if they want to. If every external disciple has to go out and travel to seek advice from the leader of the Tongtian sect, then the leader of the Tongtian sect is probably too busy to handle. Where should we go first? Zhang Tianchen asked himself in his heart. This time he said he was going on a trip, but in fact he was going to search for treasures, and he had to come back before the 3 teachings competition. Time was limited, so he had to go to the place where the treasure was most likely to be found first. Go to Mount Buzhou first. Zhang Tianchen quickly made a decision. Buzhou Mountain is a fusion of Pangu's spine, located in the middle of the flood and wilderness. In myths and legends, many treasures come from Mount Buzhou, such as the congenital gourd vine. However, at this point in time, the 7 gourds on the innate gourd vine had already been divided by Sanqing, Enyuhua, Donghuang Tai, and Hongyun, among others. But as the first mountain in the wilderness, there is a high probability that there are still undeveloped treasures on Mount Buzhou. Moreover, after the Lich Demon conquest, Mount Buzhou will be destroyed by Gonggang. If you don't go there at this time, you may not have a chance in the future. Zhang Tianchen transformed into a golden light and flew towards Mount Buzhou. The current wasteland is dominated by the 2 races of witches and demons, with demons dominating the sky and witches dominating the earth. The Wu ethnic group centers around Mount Buzhou and spreads to the surrounding areas in the form of tribes. Most of the demon tribes live in the heavenly court, with only a small portion remaining in the wasteland. However, this small group of demon tribes hide in deep mountains and dare not come out easily to avoid becoming the blood food of the witch tribe. Zhang Tianchen flew for 500 years, avoiding many people from the witches and demons along the way, and finally arrived at the foot of Mount Buzhou. Mount Buzhou stands tall in the middle of the flood, connecting heaven and earth. Standing at the foot of Mount Buzhou, Zhang Tianchen felt an indescribable shock in his heart. Kunlun Mountain is the ancestor of all mountains, but compared to Mount Zhou, it is still slightly inferior. The surroundings of Buzhou Mountain are filled with an indomitable will, which is the will of Pangu. Although the great god Pangu has embodied all things, his will still exists. At the beginning of heaven and earth, even the Great Luo Golden Immortal could never reach the summit of Mount Buzhou. Ordinary Golden Immortals may not even be able to approach Mount Buzhou. As time passed, Pangu's will became increasingly weak. Zhang Tianchen's cultivation level is only comparable to the early stage of ordinary Golden Immortals, and he already has the qualifications to climb Mount Buzhou. Slowly walking towards the Buzhou mountain, with each step of climbing, Pangu's willpower became stronger. At first, Zhang Tianchen felt very relaxed. 100 years later, Zhang Tianchen had already begun to struggle. 300 years later, Zhang Tianchen used all his strength to climb up every step. 500 years later, Zhang Tianchen's spine was slightly bent under pressure, as if he would collapse at any moment. Zhang Tianchen was still gritting his teeth and persevering, unconsciously entering a mysterious state. Everything between heaven and earth disappeared from his sight, and there was only a long upward staircase in front of him, with no end in sight. Every step he takes up, he feels his spirit sublimating. I don't know how long it has been. Perhaps it will be 10 years. Maybe it's 100 years. Perhaps it's 1,000 years. Zhang Tianchen finally reached the end of the stairs. At that moment, his spirit underwent a transformation. Zhang Tianchen withdrew from that mysterious state, and his cultivation remained the same as before without any improvement. But his gains are enormous. This kind of harvest is indescribable, but it has huge benefits for his future cultivation. Zhang Tianchen glanced around and realized that before he knew it, he had already arrived at the summit of Buzhou Mountain. The top of Mount Buzhou leads straight into the starry sky of the wilderness, and further up is the location of the heavenly court. Some people say that the land of the flood and famine is boundless, but compared to the sea, the area of the land of the flood and famine is much smaller. But compared to the boundless starry sky, the vast ocean is much smaller. The Honghuang starry sky, also known as the inner chaos, is dotted with the surrounding stars. In terms of its vastness and mystery, it far surpasses the Honghuang continent. Zhang Tianchen had no intention of traveling to the vast expanse of the stars and returned directly to the original path. When I returned halfway up the mountain, I suddenly saw a precious light blooming ahead. Zhang Tianchen's eyes lit up when he saw this precious light. This kind of treasure light usually only appears when the treasure is born. On this trip to the mountains, although he said he had gained a lot, he did not find the treasure and always had some small regrets. I didn't expect to be able to make up for his regret on the way down the mountain. Zhang Tianchen quickly arrived at the location where the treasure light was blooming. The one that blooms with precious light is a congenital spiritual root, the congenital banana tree. Originally, this innate banana tree was protected by a formation, but when the treasure matured, the formation automatically opened. Wuji generates Tai Chi generates Liangyi, Liangyi generates Xiang. The four symbols represent the earth, water, wind, and fire. At that time, Pangu opened up heaven and earth, and the Pangu axe was transformed into the Pangu flag, Tai Chi diagram, and chaos bell. Pangu used the Tai Chi diagram to control the water, wind, and fire of the land. Part of the power of water, wind, and fire is absorbed by the innate banana tree, which has grown 4 banana leaves. These 4 banana leaves, each one is an innate top-quality spiritual treasure. However, there is only 1 banana leaf on the congenital banana tree in front of me, and the other 3 have already been picked by someone. As far as Zhang Tianchen knows, the wind attribute banana leaves were in the hands of the Styx River ancestor. Later, the Styx River ancestor gave this banana leaf to the Raksha lady, also known as the Iron Fan Princess in Journey to the West. The banana leaves with fire properties are in the hands of Laozi Taichin, who used them to fan the bagua stove. The remaining banana leaves on the congenital banana tree are water-related, and it is unknown to Zhang Tianchen who holds the land-related banana leaves. Zhang Tianchen picked off the banana leaves, which immediately turned into a fan. The water attribute banana fan is a top-quality spiritual treasure of 30.6 prohibitions. With a single fan, you can summon violent storms and turn rivers and seas. Although it's a good spiritual treasure, it's not what I want. Zhang Tianchen sighed lightly, realizing that the water attribute banana fan had little effect on him. Calling for wind and rain, overturning the river and overturning the sea. Even without the water attribute banana fan, Zhang Tianchen could still achieve it. But ultimately, it is a top-quality spiritual treasure that most cultivators dream of. Even if they don't need it themselves, they can give it to others or exchange it for the genius treasure they need. Zhang Tianchen put away the water attribute banana fan. The congenital banana tree withered quickly after the last banana leaf was picked. Zhang Tianchen searched for the root of the congenital banana tree and found a piece of congenital soil. Congenital soil is the best soil for cultivating spiritual roots in the wilderness, and it is a rare genius treasure. NUY used innate soil to create humans. This is a good thing, it will definitely be useful in the future. Zhang Tianchen happily put away the innate land. Chapter 006. Innate Enlightenment of Tea Trees, Falling Treasures and Money. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After obtaining the water attribute banana fan in the innate land, Zhang Tianchen left Buzhou Mountain directly. His next destination is Mount Wui. There are many famous treasures in the world of the wilderness, but at this point in time, most of them have their owners. Zhang Tianchen only knows one thing about the treasure that has not yet been owned and whose whereabouts are clear, that is, the treasure falling money in Mount Wui. Luo Bao money shone brilliantly in the Battle of Fengshan. Xiao Xing's cultivation was not much worse than that of Zhao Gongming, but he was able to use Luo Bao money to take away Zhao Gongming's 20.4 Dinghai pearls and the dragon binding rope, which shows how extraordinary this magical treasure is. Zhang Tianchen flew for more than 800 years and finally came to Mount Wui. Mount Wui is located in the east of the flood and famine, stretching for hundreds of millions of miles, with numerous peaks, majestic mountains, lush vegetation, and verdant mountains. Although not comparable to Mount Buzhou and Kunlun, it is also a rare and blessed place to see. No wonder people say that innate spiritual treasures can be encountered but not sought after. Mount Wui said it was not big, but it was not small. Even if Zhang Tianchen knew that the treasure was in Mount Wui, it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack if he wanted to find it. Even if I turn over Mount Wui, I must find Luo Bao money. Zhang Tianchen has made up his mind that he will never leave Mount Wui until he finds Luo Bao's money. Zhang Tianchen released his divine consciousness and began a carpet-like search. Mount Wui has a strong aura. There are many big demons hiding in the mountain to cultivate, and there are also many casual practitioners opening caves in the mountain. Zhang Tianchen's carpet-like search with divine sense clashed with many cultivators. Some were killed by him, some were subdued by him, and some he couldn't fight and fled with the help of the 5 elements' great escape. The most dangerous encounter was when he encountered a python spirit from the Great Luo Golden Immortal, who chased him for millions of miles. Fortunately, his ability to escape was high, and he managed to escape. 1,000 years later, when Zhang Tianchen used his divine sense to explore a mountain peak, he detected a slight fluctuation in the formation. This formation is not artificially arranged, but naturally formed. Zhang Tianchen felt a sense of joy in his heart, as there were natural formations to protect him, and there must be treasures inside. With his extraordinary insight and profound cultivation in formations, Zhang Tianchen quickly found a way to break through the formation. Open. Zhang Tianchen pinched the magic formula in his hand and pointed towards the formation. The formation opened a hole and he flew in directly. Space transformation, Zhang Tianchen discovered that there was a natural cave inside the formation. There is a stone tablet at the entrance of the cave, on which is written Mount Wui Cave. Zhang Tianchen walked towards the cave, where there was a unique cave. The towering mountain peaks soar into the sky, with towering trees and forests of pine and cypress. The sound of apes and tigers howling incessantly can be heard. A huge waterfall pours down from the peak, and below the waterfall is a huge lake, which is filled with hot air and a hot spring. The rich innate spiritual energy condenses into mist and permeates the mountains and forests. Spiritual medicines that have been around for over 10,000 years can be seen everywhere, and the air is mixed with the fragrance of herbs, making people feel relaxed and happy when smelling them. In the center of the cave stands a congenital spiritual root, which is the top-grade spiritual root of the congenital enlightenment tea tree. Above the Wudao tea tree, there is a small light cluster. Upon closer inspection, inside the cluster is a winged copper coin. I finally found it. Zhang Tianchen's face showed a hint of joy, and he flew over the tea tree of Wudao, reaching out to grab at Guangtuan. The light cluster seemed to have spiritual intelligence and quickly fled. I encountered it, it's not that easy to escape from my palm. Zhang Tianchen unleashed his golden light and chased towards the light cluster. One person, one light ball competed in speed in this blessed land, and in the end, Zhang Tianchen was even better, grabbing the light ball in his hand. Zhang Tianchen squeezed hard, and the light ball shattered. He grabbed the winged copper coin in his hand. At the moment he grabbed the copper coin, Zhang Tianchen learned that the information about this copper coin was exactly the lost treasure money he was looking for. But there was no joy on his face, instead his eyebrows furrowed slightly. Luo Bao money is a top-notch innate spiritual treasure. Whether innate or acquired, under the supreme treasure, there is no treasure that cannot be lost, and it can be said to be very powerful. But Luo Bao money is money, emphasizing the principle of equivalent exchange. What is exchanged equivalently is one's own luck. Qi luck is elusive, but it is very important for everyone. Once Qi luck is depleted, death is not far away. In the War of Sealing the Gods, Xiao Sheng used his lost treasure money to collect Xiao Gongming's 20.4 Dinghai pearls and the dragon binding rope, depleting his own luck before being whipped to death by Xiao Gongming. This Luo Bao money is probably the only treasure in the wilderness that has nothing to do with the user's cultivation. Zhang Tianchen sighed and realized that he had put in so much effort to find the lost treasure money, but he didn't expect it to be such a useless treasure. Every use requires the user's energy consumption, even if the function is powerful, he dare not use it easily. Never use it in the future unless there is a life-threatening situation. Zhang Tianchen collected the lost treasure money, which, although insignificant, was still a powerful trump card that could potentially save his life in critical moments. The tea tree with innate enlightenment, I wonder how effective it is. Zhang Tianchen turned his gaze to the Xiantian Wudao tea tree, reached out to pick a piece of tea, and held it in his mouth. Suddenly, he felt a clear clarity in his soul, and all the distractions in his heart were expelled, allowing him to enter a state of tranquility at any time. Used to assist in cultivation, the effect is quite good. Zhang Tianchen is quite satisfied with the effect of the innate enlightenment tea tree. The Mount Wui cave is really good. Since I found it, it is my destiny, and it will be my Taoist temple in the future. After the separation of Sanqing, Zhang Tianchen will definitely move out of the Kunlun mountains, just missing a dojo. Unexpectedly, when he fell asleep, he would give pillows. Zhang Tianchen went to the stone tablet at the entrance of the cave, wiped out the 2 characters, Dongtian, and wrote the 3 characters, Wuliang Cave. The immeasurable cave in Mount Wui sounds like a place for immortals. Zhang Tianchen looked at his masterpiece and nodded in satisfaction. The guard formation outside is too weak. If you are not at home and someone steals your home in the future, you will lose a lot. Zhang Tianchen removed the protective formation outside and planned to rearrange it himself. About 10,000 miles away from the infinite cave, there lived 3 fox demons. When Zhang Tianchen withdrew the guard formation, the 3 of them noticed something was wrong. What a powerful spiritual fluctuation. Big sister, with such strong spiritual fluctuations, there must be treasures. Let's go and take a look. 3 fox demons flew towards the direction of the infinite cave. Not long after, the 3 fox demons arrived outside the Wuliang cave and saw Zhang Tianchen setting up a formation. A human cultivator from a true fairyland. I don't know whether this Terran friar is lucky or unlucky. He found such a good cave, but it's a pity that it will be cheaper for our 3 sisters. The 3 sisters of the fox demon are all in the realm of Xianxia. At a glance, they saw through Zhang Tianchen's roots and realm, and planned to rob this cave. It turned out to be 3 little fox demons. Now leave, I'll spare your lives, otherwise don't blame me for being merciless. Zhang Tianchen had already noticed 3 auras approaching, but the other person was only in the realm of Xianxia, and he didn't pay attention. Chapter 007. The 3 Sisters of the Fox Demon, The Way to Refine Weapons, Picture. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Spare our lives. You human cultivator really doesn't know the vastness of heaven and earth. The second of the 3 sisters of the fox demon smiled angrily. With his right hand, a sword appeared in his hand and killed Zhang Tianchen. Zhang Tianchen pinched a magic spell with his hand, reached out a finger, and a thunderbolt rushed over. Ah! The second fox demon let out a scream and fell to the ground, revealing the original shape of the fox. Second sister. Second sister. The fox demon leader and the fox demon third saw Zhang Tianchen using a lightning bolt to knock the fox demon second out of its original form, and quickly flew over. Zhang Tianchen pinched the technique and prepared to deal with the remaining 2 fox demons. The immortal spared his life. The fox demon boss knelt down directly and begged for mercy from Zhang Tianchen. Although her cultivation is slightly higher than that of the fox demon's second brother, it is also very limited and she is not a match for Zhang Tianchen. The third fox demon knelt down with his elder sister begging for mercy. I have already given you a chance. Since you choose to take action against me, you will have to bear the corresponding cost. Zhang Tianchen snorted coldly, he was not a soft-hearted person. God, as long as you bypass our lives, our 3 sisters are willing to compensate for our sins for slaves and maidservants. The fox demon kowtowed and begged for mercy, but the situation was stronger than humans, and it had to bow its head. Upon hearing these words, Zhang Tianchen's heart was moved. His dojo still lacked a few boys, and there were no boys. It was also good to have 3 maids. The fox is cunning, I can't trust you unless you make a vow of the heavenly way. In the wilderness, as long as any living creature makes a vow of the heavenly way will generate resonance. If they violate the vow in the future, the punishment of the vow will come true. We are willing to make a vow of the heavenly way. The fox demon sister understood in her heart that as long as she made a vow of the heavenly way, they would never be able to turn over again in their lifetime. However, in order to survive, they could only do so. With a flick of Zhang Tianchen's sleeve, a magical force fell on the second fox demon, who regained his humanity and recovered most of his injuries. Thank you very much, Immortal. The second fox demon stood up and knelt between the two fox demons. Swear quickly. Zhang Tianchen's face was cold, but he secretly noticed that as long as the three fox demons turned back, he would kill them with one strike. Heaven is supreme, and our three sisters are willing to be slaves to the Immortal. They are willing to listen to the call. If they have different intentions, they will die under the thunderbolt. The three fox demons swore to the Heavenly Alliance, and the Heavenly Way sensed a thunderous sound in their minds. You guys get up. Zhang Tianchen nodded in satisfaction when he saw the three fox demons making their heavenly vows. Thank you very much, Master. Three fox demons stood up. Zhang Tianchen was referred to as the Master by three female fox demons, feeling a bit awkward and wanting to change her name. He glanced at the stone tablet that said, Mount Wui Wuliang Cave, and said. You will be my people of Wuliang Cave later. Call me the cave owner. Yes, Cave Master, said the three fox demons in unison. Do you have a name? Zhang Tianchen asked. The three fox demons shook their heads. They seldom contacted other friars. The three sisters were called Big Sister, Second Sister, and Third Sister. Let me take one for you. The leader's name is Su Su, the second one is Hua Hua, and the third one is Fei Fei. Zhang Tianchen suddenly remembered a movie he had seen before his time traveling, which also had three fox demons, so he borrowed the names of those three fox demons. Thank you very much for giving the cave owner your name. The three fox demons are all quite satisfied with their names. Zhang Tianchen thought for a moment, took out 6-second generation flat peaches, sent them to the three sisters of the fox demon, and said, These 6 flat peaches are for you three. The 30.6 peaches that the second generation peach tree planted for the first time were all eaten by Zhang Tianchen, and the ones that were planted afterwards were all collected by him. Although Zhang Tianchen is not good at political power, he has been deeply influenced by various TV dramas, and he still understands the principle of carrot and stick. Thank you very much, Cave Master. The three sisters of the fox demon smiled and suddenly felt that it might not be a bad thing to be a slave to Zhang Tianchen. 100 years later. Zhang Tianchen has rearranged the guard array, and the three sisters of the fox demon have also refined all the energy of the flat peach. The accomplishments of the three sisters of the fox demon have improved, but they have not broken through the realm. Su Su is in the late stage of Xianxia, Hua Hua is in the middle stage of Xianxia, and Fei Fei is in the early stage of Xianxia. Zhang Tianchen called the three sisters of the fox demon over and said to them, I have left a mark on you three. You can go in and out of the array freely in the future, but you'd better not go out when I'm not in the cave. Dong Zhu, are you going out? Su Su asked. Zhang Tianchen shook his head slightly and said, I won't go out for the time being. Although he found the magic weapon twice, neither of them was what he wanted. Before the three teachings competition, he had no plans to search for the treasure again. Coincidentally, there is a tea tree with innate enlightenment here, and he plans to practice in seclusion. I think your cultivation method is too rudimentary. Please explain it to me and I will help you improve it. As his maid, her strength is naturally too weak. Su Su, Hua Hua, and Fei Fei are all 9-tailed fox spirits with decent roots. If they have enough luck, they may become the Great Luo Golden Immortal. However, the law cannot be passed down lightly. The myth of Zhang Tianchen's Dharma will not be taught to them, even the Xianxia immortal Jew of the Tongtian cult leader, but it is possible to help the three sisters of the fox demon improve their own cultivation method. Thank you very much, Cave Master. Su, Hua Hua, and Fei were very excited. Their inheritance techniques were incomplete, and they could only practice until the Golden Immortal period. The closer they got to the Golden Immortal period, the more rudimentary their cultivation methods became. They could only explore on their own little by little, and their progress was very slow. Now that they hear that Zhang Tianchen is going to improve their martial arts, how can they not be excited? As for whether Zhang Tianchen has that ability, they have not even considered this question. In their eyes, although Zhang Tianchen appears to be in the realm of true immortality, his true realm is definitely far higher than this. Helping them improve their martial arts is definitely not a problem. In fact, they were all mistaken. Zhang Tianchen is truly a true immortal realm, just a mythological true immortal with cultivation comparable to an ordinary golden immortal. Being able to help them improve their martial arts is mainly due to his incredible understanding. The three sisters of Su told Zhang Tianchen about their cultivation methods. To Zhang Tianchen's surprise, their cultivation methods also included the method of refining weapons, but the method of refining weapons was also simple. The sword used by Hua Hua was crafted by herself, depicting 6 forbidden lower-level postnatal spiritual treasures. In 100 years, Zhang Tianchen has perfected the cultivation method of the three sisters of Su, and can cultivate to the realm of the Luo Jin Xian. After the three sisters of Su got the new cultivation method, they were shocked by Zhang Tianchen. Zhang Tianchen became even more mysterious in their hearts. The three sisters of Su went to practice in seclusion, while Zhang Tianchen began to understand the art of refining weapons. Chapter 008. Infinite Sword, Return to Kunlun Mountain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mount Wui, Wuliang Cave. Thunder clouds gathered in the sky, not someone crossing the calamity, but Zhang Tianchen arranged a lightning induction array. 300 years have passed since Zhang Tianchen comprehended the method of refining weapons. Zhang Tianchen has fully understood and improved the weapon refining method in the inheritance of the three sisters of Su. Zhang Tianchen arranged this lightning array, which was his first step in refining weapons, forging materials. At the bottom of the thunder-inducing array is a peach tree, which is one of the 6 third-generation flat peach trees planted from the 6 second-generation flat peach stones awarded to Susu's three sisters. Boom! A lightning bolt swept across the sky and struck the peach trees. The branches of the peach tree were directly turned into fly ash under the bombardment of lightning, and the surface of the trunk became charred black. Soon, the second bolt of lightning struck again. The surface of the trunk also turned into fly ash, and the entire trunk shrank in a circle. The third way, the fourth path, every time a lightning strikes, the tree trunk shrinks by a circle. When the 27th lightning struck, the entire peach tree was left with only a thick wooden stick with one arm. This wooden stick is the core of the third-generation peach tree. After 27 rounds of lightning tempering, it has become exceptionally tough and contains the power of lightning. Zhang Tianchen withdrew the thunderbolt formation and summoned the heart of the second-generation peach tree, then began to draw runes. Under the depiction of runes, the wooden stick gradually transformed into a wooden sword. When Zhang Tianchen drew the last rune, the 24 prohibitions were formed, and a top-notch intermediate spiritual treasure was refined. Due to material limitations, the 20.4 prohibitions are already the limit. If we continue to depict runes, the heart of the second-generation peach tree will collapse, and the magic weapon will be destroyed. With a casual move, Zhang Tianchen's wooden sword flew over and was grabbed by him. Not bad. Zhang Tianchen felt it for a while and nodded in satisfaction. Let's call it the Infinite Sword. Zhang Tianchen thought for a moment and named this wooden sword Wuliang. Lingbao generated an induction, and the word Wuliang automatically appeared on the handle of the sword. Congratulations to the cave master for becoming a magic weapon. The three sisters of Su Su came over. When Zhang Tianchen quenched the peachwood heart with thunder and lightning, they woke up from the cultivation. It seems that we need to plan the dojo to avoid mutual interference, Zhang Tianchen thought to himself. He didn't want to be disturbed when he practiced in seclusion in the future. The cave owner, our three sisters have an unsolicited request, and we hope the cave owner will agree. Su Su said sheepishly. You say, Zhang Tianchen said. We would like to invite the cave owner to refine a magic weapon for each of us, said Su Su. That's no problem, but I don't have good refining materials around me. You need to come up with the materials yourself. Zhang Tianchen agreed to refine 3 magic treasures, which would be an easy task for him and would not take much time. Thank you very much, Cave Master. The 3 sisters of Susu were very excited when they saw Zhang Tianchen's agreement, and each of them brought out their own collection of materials for refining weapons. What magic weapon do you want to refine? Zhang Tianchen took a look and found that although these refining materials were all ordinary goods, they were enough to refine intermediate spiritual treasures. Our 3 sisters all like to use swords, Su Su said. Zhang Tianchen took out all the second-generation peaches, totaling 102, and said, I'll give you all these peaches. After you eat them, plant the peach stones. The second-generation flat peach tree produced peaches 4 times. The first time 36 peaches were eaten by Zhang Tianchen. The peach stones were planted in Kunlun mountain. He collected all the other 3 peaches, a total of 108 peaches. He had previously given 6 to Su Su's 3 sisters, and there were still 102 peaches left. The infinite sword was not a magical treasure that Zhang Tianchen casually refined, but a treasure he specially refined for the infinite sword formation. However, a single infinite sword is not enough, he needs more. Thank you very much, Master. We will definitely cultivate the peach tree well. Su Su's 3 sisters gladly collected all the peaches. Now they feel more and more that it is a great chance to become Zhang Tianchen's maid. Zhang Tianchen began refining magic treasures. Time quietly slipped away, and in the blink of an eye, it was already 100 years later. All 3 precious swords have been refined, and they are all medium-grade innate spiritual treasures that are prohibited by the 24 levels. Zhang Tianchen also refined 2 palaces with the remaining materials. One was for his own cultivation. He named it Wuliang Hall, and the other was for the 3 sisters of Susu. The palace is covered with soundproof and protective formations, so there is no need to worry about being disturbed during future cultivation. After giving the 3 swords to Susu's 3 sisters, Zhang Tianchen continued to refine the immeasurable sword. 1,000 years later, 107 third-generation peach trees were refined into 107 limitless swords, along with the first refined one, for a total of 108. With these 108 infinite swords, Zhang Tianchen's power can be greatly enhanced when using the infinite sword formation. After refining the magic weapon, Zhang Tianchen began to practice in seclusion. Practice has no time, and tens of thousands of years have passed in a blink of an eye. At this time, there is only 1,000 years left until the 3 teachings great comparison mentioned by Master Tongtian. After tens of thousands of years of cultivation, Zhang Tianchen's strength has greatly improved. Name: Zhang Tianchen Roots. The acquired human race cultivation. 22 Yuan meeting realm. Early stage of mythological immortality divine powers. 36 major divine powers of heavenly gang and 72 minor divine powers of earthly Sha formation. Infinite sword formation. Zhang Tianchen's cultivation level has been elevated to 22 elemental levels, but his realm is still in the early stage of mythological immortality. Immortal cultivation level. 5 to 500 yuan. Among them, the period from 5 to 100 yuan will be the early stage of mythological immortality, the period from 100 to 200 yuan will be the middle stage, the period from 200 to 300 yuan will be the later stage, and the period from 300 to 500 yuan will be the peak of mythological immortality. In addition to improving his cultivation, Zhang Tianchen has also learned all 36 major divine powers of the heavenly gang and 72 minor divine powers of the earth Sha over the past tens of thousands of years. However, many divine powers remain at the level of minor or major accomplishments, and to go further, one must comprehend the rules. Keep an eye on the cave, I'm going back to Kunlun Mountain. Zhang Tianchen called Su Su's 3 sisters over. The 3 religious masters are coming, and he will go back to participate in the masters. After tens of thousands of years of getting along with each other, the 3 sisters of Susu have known that Zhang Tianchen is a disciple of the Tongtian cult leader. Don't worry, Cave Lord. We will definitely guard the cave and wait for the Cave Lord to come back, Susu said. Zhang Tianchen nodded slightly, his figure turning into a stream of light and flying out of the cave. After flying for 800 years, I returned to Kunlun Mountain. As soon as he returned to the mountains, Zhang Tianchen noticed that the atmosphere was somewhat off. When he left, the relationship between the disciples of Jiejiao and Zhanjiao was not very good, but at least they got along harmoniously. But this time back, the relationship between the disciples of the 2 sects was very tense. When they met, they didn't give each other a good face and even had arguments. It seems that the separation of Sanqing is not far away, Zhang Tianchen whispered in his heart. Chapter 009. The Great Comparison of the 3 Teachings, the Fighting Method of the Jade Immortal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Zhang Tianchen left Kunlun Mountain, he set up a hidden formation for the small wooden house and the peach forest. The formation is still there, no one has entered. Zhang Tianchen withdrew the formation, but the small wooden house and the peach forest remained unchanged. There are 30.6 peaches hanging on each peach tree, which are already ripe. These peaches have not been picked, and new peaches will not grow. Zhang Tianchen picked all the peaches and put them away. There are still 200 years left before Dabi, and Zhang Tianchen is preparing to refine all 30.6 third-generation peach trees into an immeasurable sword. As for the second-generation peach tree, he still needs to keep it in order to cultivate more third-generation peach trees. 200 years of time, for the cultivator in the wilderness, taking a nap is already over. After refining 30.6 third-generation peach trees into an immeasurable sword, Zhang Tianchen soon heard the sound of the fishing drum summoning the disciples of the Tongtian sect. Zhang Tianchen arrived at the gathering place, and most of the intercepting disciples had already arrived. All the elucidating disciples had arrived, and only Xuandu, the disciple of the people's education, stood quietly on the side. When they were about to arrive, Sanqing's figure appeared on the gimbal. Have you seen a saint? 3 disciples of the 3 teachings salute together. The purpose of this 3 teachings competition is to exchange ideas and test your cultivation achievements. As for everything, do not harm harmony, said the leader of the Tongtian sect to his disciple. Please remember, disciples, said the disciples in unison. You have been under my tutelage for a long time, and today is the time to showcase what you have learned. Don't let my reputation of preaching diminish, said Yuanshi Tianzuan to the 12 golden immortals of preaching. My disciples will definitely praise me for my teachings and prestige, said Guangqingzi confidently. The competition is about to begin. For those who perform well, they can choose one of the inheritance courses from Dan Dao, Qi Dao, and Formation to learn. With a wave of Laozi's sleeve, 3 jade slips appeared in front of him. Among these 3 jade slips, there were Laozi's inheritance of the Dan Dao, Yuanshir's inheritance of the Qi Dao, and Tongtian's inheritance of the Formation Dao. These 3 types of inheritance are rewards presented by Sanqing. Zhang Tianchen's eyes lit up when he saw these 3 inherited jade slips. He has already obtained the inheritance of the formation path of the Tongtian sect leader, and the inheritance of Laozi's alchemy path and the inheritance of Yuanshi Tianzuan's instrumental path are both things he really wants. Jie Jiao Gao Yu Qian, come and meet your divine powers for a while. After Laozi announced the start of the big competition, a disciple of the Jie Jiao external sect flew onto the big competition arena. This person is 1 zhang and 6 feet tall, wearing a pair of solitary buns, wearing a big red robe, with a face as blue as indigo, hair as cinnabar, and fang teeth in his mouth. He is exactly Gao Yu Qian, one of the 4 saints of Kowloon Island in the future. The Jade Cauldron is here to learn. On the side of elucidation, seeing the person who intercepted the teachings seize the opportunity, they all felt a bit angry, and the Jade Immortal flew directly onto the arena. Gao Yu Qian offered the Hunyuan Pearl and threw it at the Jade Immortal. Hunyuan Pearl is a mid-grade spiritual treasure in the innate world, known as the 3 spiritual beads of the innate, along with Wang Mo's Kaitian Pearl and Yang Sen's Pity Pearl. The name sounds very loud, but its power is really average, far inferior to Zhao Gongming's 24 Ding Si God Pearl. The Jade Immortal cultivates the 9 transformations Xian Gong, with a strong physical body that can directly carry Gao Youqian's Hunyuan Pearl. Gao Yuqian hit the Jade Immortal several times with the Hunyuan Pearl, but failed to harm him in any way. Upon seeing Gao Youqian's shocked expression, Yuding Immortal felt proud and used one move to knock him off the arena. The King Demon of Jiejiao has come to learn. Wang Yimo saw that his friend had lost to the Jade Immortal and flew onto the stage to save face for Gao Yuqian. However, his strength was comparable to that of Gao Yuqian, and he was soon defeated by the Jade Immortal. Intercept Li Xingbao. Intercept Yang Sr. After Wang Yimo lost, Yang Sen and Li Xingbao also went up to challenge the Jade Immortal and were defeated one after another. The Jade Immortal won 4 consecutive formations, and the disciples of the teachings were very happy. Even a faint smile appeared on the face of the Yuanshi Tianzun. On the contrary, all the disciples of the intercepted teachings felt their faces pale. Stop teaching Zhang Tianchen to come and learn. Zhang Tianchen flew onto the arena. Yuding Immortal has defeated 4 consecutive members of the Jiejiao sect. If Zhang Tianchen goes up to defeat Yuding Immortal at this time, he will definitely be able to show his face in front of the Tongtian Sect leader. Please. The Jade Immortal saw that Zhang Tianchen was only in the early stage of being a true immortal and did not pay much attention to it. In order to demonstrate the character of his disciples, he asked Zhang Tianchen to take action first. Zhang Tianchen was not polite. He reached out and a lightning bolt thundered past. Among the disciples of the 3 teachings, except for the deputy head of the Chan sect, Ran Dang, the highest cultivation is the Duobao Taoist, who is already the Tai Golden Immortal. The other disciples only have the highest cultivation at the peak of the Golden Immortal. The Jade Immortal is now in the middle stage of the Golden Immortal period. Although Zhang Tianchen appears to be in the early stage of being a true immortal, his strength and cultivation are comparable to those of the later stage of being a Golden Immortal, and he is even higher than the Jade Immortal. The Jade Immortal underestimated the enemy carelessly. Unexpectedly, Zhang Tianchen learned to master the 5 thunders, and his expertise was so high that he was struck by a lightning strike that shook his internal organs and suffered a considerable internal injury. Zhang Tianchen took advantage of the victory to pursue, but another thunderbolt hit him. Yuding transformed into an eagle and flew into the air, avoiding the thunder and lightning of Zhang Tianchen. I also know how to shape a fetus. Zhang Tianchen's mouth curved slightly, and he transformed into a golden eagle, fighting with the Jade Immortal in the air. After a few rounds, Yuding Immortal was defeated and fell onto the arena, transforming into a lion. Zhang Tianchen turned into a tiger, opened his claws, and rushed towards the Jade Immortal. In no time, Zhang Tianchen scratched several bloodstains on the body of the Jade Immortal. Yuding Zhenren understands that he is not as accomplished as Zhang Tianchen in the field of fetal transformation and transformation. If he continues to fight like this, he will undoubtedly be defeated. Big, big. Yuan Immortal regained human form and rapidly grew in size, quickly growing several tens of feet tall. I know how to handle the size as you please. Zhang Tianchen's body also quickly grew larger, quickly surpassing that of the Jade Immortal. After Yuan Immortal grew up, he was looking for Zhang Tianchen's figure, but he didn't realize that Zhang Tianchen was right behind him, and he wasn't as tall as Zhang Tianchen's knee. Zhang Tianchen kicked the Jade Immortal off the arena with one kick. The Jade Immortal fell to the ground, and his body returned to its original size. Zhang Tianchen defeated the Jade Immortal, and the disciples of Jiejiao were very happy. On the contrary, the faces of the disciples of Jiejiao were a bit unsightly. The leader of the Tongtian Sect nodded slightly, not because Zhang Tianchen had won, but because he was satisfied with Zhang Tianchen's profound expertise in mastering the five thunders, embryo transformation, and size Rui. Tutor Tai came to learn. Tai Immortal flew onto the arena, trying to win a round back. Please. Zhang Tianchen made a gesture of invitation, asking Tai Zhenren to take action first. The Tai Immortal opened his mouth and a flame burned towards Zhang Tianchen, using the spit flame technique from the 72 small divine powers of the Earth Sha. With a flick of Zhang Tianchen's sleeve, the flames spewed out by Tai Immortal were instantly extinguished. This swing is not simple, it uses the return wind and fire from the 36 Heavenly Gang Great Divine Arts. Chapter 010. The end of the competition, a treasure bestowed by the heavens. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tai Immortal, seeing that Zhang Tianchen had learned so many divine powers, dared not compete with Zhang Tianchen's divine powers anymore and directly offered the magical treasure 9 Dragons Divine Fire Shield. The 9 Dragons Divine Fire Shield is a top-notch innate spiritual treasure that will shine brightly in the future battle of sealing gods, burning down the horses of Shiji, Sun Liang, Ma Zhong, and Zhang Kuei, with outstanding results. After Tai Immortal sacrificed the 9 Dragon Divine Fire Shield, it transformed into 9 fire dragons and blocked Zhang Tianchen from all directions. Zhang Tianchen was covered by the 9 Dragon Divine Fire Shield and had nowhere to escape, but he was not at all panicked. The 9 divine dragons spewed out the Samadhi True Fire towards Zhang Tianchen. This Samadhi True Fire is not an ordinary Samadhi True Fire, but has 9 levels of damage and is 9 times more powerful than an ordinary Samadhi True Fire. Zhang Tianchen unleashed his standing without shadow and entered a state of emptiness, allowing the Samadhi True Fire to calcine him. If you want to save your life, quickly give up. The Tai Immortal urged Zhang Tianchen to quickly admit defeat. He was afraid of burning Zhang Tianchen to death, so he gave a lot of explanation to the leader of the Tongtian Sect. Zhang Tianchen unleashed the fire escape from the 5 elements Great Escape and escaped from the 9 Dragon Divine Fire Shield. Immediately after, Zhang Tianchen grabbed his right hand and a boundless sword appeared in his hand. The Infinite Sword, the Infinite Robbery. Those who enter this robbery will be reborn for generations and will never be able to recover. Zhang Tianchen raised the Infinite Sword and used his clone to transform it into 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. Soon, Zhang Tianchen was surrounded by the Infinite Sword. Go! Zhang Tianchen pointed his immeasurable sword towards the Tai Immortal, and all the immeasurable sword clones shot towards him. This move is an infinite sword technique created by Zhang Tianchen in combination with the small divine skill clone, not an infinite sword formation. Tai Zhenren originally thought he had won, but he didn't expect Zhang Tianchen to be able to escape from the 9 Dragon Divine Fire Shield and use such a powerful killing move as the Infinite Sword technique, which frightened him into running away quickly. However, his speed was eventually full, and he was injured by the Infinite Sword and fell outside the arena. Seeing Zhang Tianchen defeat 2 disciples who have personally passed down the teachings one after another, the intercepting disciples felt a glow on their faces. On the contrary, the faces of the disciples of the teachings are somewhat black. Senior brother, do you have so many supernatural powers? Jinling Holy Mother looked at Duobao Taoist. She and Zhang Tianchen joined the Truncation sect and often listened to the teachings of the master of the Tongtian sect. However, she only learned 2 of the 36 heavenly gang divine arts, and her accomplishments were far inferior to those of Zhang Tianchen. In terms of supernatural powers, I am not as good as junior brother Zhang Tianchen, said Daoist Duobao, shaking his head. It's unbelievable that junior brother Zhang Tianchen, who was only in the early stage of becoming a true immortal, could master so many divine powers, said the Wudang Holy Mother. Perhaps junior brother Zhang Tianchen is quite talented in this area, said the Holy Mother of Turtle Spirit. On the other hand, Guang Qingzi's face looked a bit unpleasant and he said, Red Sperm junior brother, next time you go up, you must earn back the face of our teachings. Among the 12 disciples who passed down the teachings, Guang Qingzi had the highest cultivation, followed by Red Sperm. Yuan-Shi Tianzun also showed great favor towards the 2 and bestowed many powerful treasures upon them. Don't worry, senior brother. I will definitely show this Zhang Tianchen the power of our teachings, said Red Sperm confidently. After finishing speaking, the Red Sperm flew to the arena and said, Explain to the Red Sperm to come and learn. Please. Zhang Tianchen still instructed the Red Sperm to take action first. Red Sperm knew that Zhang Tianchen had great supernatural powers and directly sacrificed the Yin-Yang mirror. Yin-Yang mirror is a top-quality innate spiritual treasure, with 2 sides of yin and yang. The yin side is white and the yang side is red. The yin side can hold the human spirit in place, while the yang side can unlock it. Red Sperm waved their yin-yang mirror and white light shone towards Zhang Tianchen. Zhang Tianchen quickly exerted his golden light and dodged. Red Sperm continued to use the yin-yang mirror's yin side to illuminate Tianchen. Zhang Tianchen was forced by the yin-yang mirror to flee everywhere, and in the end, he had no choice but to escape to the bottom of the arena. The person who preached saw that the Red Sperm had won, and their face looked slightly better. In fact, Zhang Tianchen did it intentionally. Although the yin-yang mirror is powerful with his divine abilities, it is not impossible to deal with it. However, he has already defeated the Jade Immortal and the Tai Immortal. If he were to defeat the Red Sperm again, the face of the Yuanshi Heavenly Sovereign would definitely be a bit hard to hold. You should know that Yuanshi Tianzun is a very face-saving person. If he falls in front of him, he may hold a grudge against him. Being hated by a saint is a very dangerous thing. Zhang Tianchen's performance in this big competition is already excellent enough, there is no need to take this risk again. The disciples who intercepted the teachings saw that Zhang Tianchen had been defeated, and many more disciples came to compete with Red Sperm. However, the cultivation of most of the disciples from the outside world of Zhejiao is far inferior to that of Red Sperm. In addition, Red Sperm has a yin-yang mirror in hand, and Zhejiao lost dozens of rounds in a row. It was not until Zhao Gongming came on stage that he used 24 Dinghai pearls to shoot Red Sperm down. After defeating Red Sperm, Zhao Gongming was soon defeated again by Xuandu. Xuandu, like Zhang Tianchen, are both descendants of the human race. But Xuandu had a good teacher who could eat all kinds of golden pills at will. Now it is the peak of the Golden Immortal, and among the disciples of the 3 teachings, their cultivation is only below that of the Duobao Taoist. Laozi also bestowed the top-quality innate spiritual treasure, the earthly flame light flag, to Xuandu. Zhao Gongming was defeated in the hands of Xuandu and was not unjustly defeated. After Zhao Gongming, San Shao, Lvu, Luo Xian, the attendant 7 immortals, and the 4 great disciples personally passed down their teachings went on stage to engage in exchanges with the disciples of the People's Sect and the Chan Sect. In the end, it was Duobao Daoist who achieved the ultimate victory. Before Sanqing became a saint, Duobao became a disciple of the Tongtian Sect leader and can be said to be a common disciple of Sanqing. He achieved the ultimate victory, and Sanqing's face was beautiful. Zhang Tianchen, Yun Shao, Guang Qingzi, Qi Sperm, and Xian Du, all 5 of you have performed excellently in the big competition and can choose any one of the 3 inheritors. Laozi announced the final result of the big competition. When Yun Xiao came on stage, he defeated the immortal Puxian, the Taoist Sihang, and the pure virtue True Lord with a Hunyuan Golden Doe, and his performance was indeed very outstanding. Although Duobao Daoist achieved the ultimate victory, he had already learned Laozi's Dan Dao and Yuanshi's Qi Dao, so he was not included in the final outstanding list. I choose to inherit the Dan Dao. Zhang Tianchen's first choice, he had already thought about it. He had already mastered some of the Qi Dao, but he didn't understand the Dan Dao at all. Choosing the Dan Dao was more cost-effective. Upon hearing this, Laozi waved his sleeve and the jade slips inherited from the alchemy flew in front of Zhang Tianchen. Zhang Tianchen pressed the jade slip against his eyebrows, and a large amount of alchemy knowledge flooded into his mind. After Zhang Tianchen, the other 4 people also made choices. Yun Xiao chose the Qi Dao, Guang Qingzi chose the Formation Dao, Qi Jing chose the Dan Dao, and Xuandu chose the Formation Dao. After the competition, the disciples of the 3 religions all went back to their respective places. Master Tongtian summoned Zhang Tianchen alone. Zhang Tianchen, in this competition, your performance was excellent. Among the disciples of the 3 teachings, you can be called the first in terms of divine powers, praise the leader of the Tongtian sect. The teacher praised me too much. Zhang Tianchen was not complacent due to the praise from the leader of the Tongtian sect. However powerful the divine power is, it's just a skill. Cultivation is the foundation. You need to spend more time improving your cultivation and not be too obsessed with cultivating divine powers, said the leader of the Tongtian sect. Disciples must remember the teacher's teachings. Zhang Tianchen's situation is only understood by himself. He didn't spend much time learning these divine powers, but he couldn't tell the leader of the Tongtian sect about them. The leader of the Tongtian sect extended his right hand and a purple-yellow gourd appeared in his hand, saying, "This gourd was picked from the innate gourd vine by me. I don't think you have any top quality magic weapons for self-defense, so I will give it to you." Zhang Tianchen's face showed a happy expression and he quickly thanked, "Thank you very much, teacher."